to something measurable, which is critical to quality performance characteristic. And also in the second session, I will be taking you through to the very basic concepts of statistics. As all of us are aware that Six Sigma primarily is a disciplined and data driven approach which relies very heavily on statistical tools for understanding, analyzing the problems, and finding solutions to the complex problems. Goes without saying that until unless we have proper understanding of what statistics is, what is the meaning of various terms that we are going to use in statistical analysis, it is very, very important for all of us to develop a proper, thorough understanding of all these concepts. So, before we start and deep dive into these concepts, I would like to ask one question. Please tell me, do you people just want to have the theoretical knowledge and a paper certificate, or do you want to have the necessary competence about implementing the concepts, implementing the methodologies in your day-to-day life? Please tell me. What do you want? Do you want both the things, theoretical knowledge as well as the paper certificate, and the competency to implement in real life situations? Please tell me.
Both. Yes, sir, both.
Both. So I will make sure that you gain both. You not only gain the academic knowledge, you also gain the paper certificate. Definitely, if you follow, you will definitely crack the examination. But more importantly, I would like to insist that this is beyond these concepts. The actual use of this training is that if you understand these concepts properly and you are able to implement these for day-to-day improvement initiatives, that is, my dear friends, the real purpose, and that is what is going to benefit all of you. And for that, I have got one precondition, and that precondition is I want most of you, whenever possible, please remain on camera so that I can see eye to eye whether you are able to understand everything that we are communicating. That is part one of my ask. And part two of my ask is please be interactive. All of you are coming from various different industries, from various different exposures, experiences, learnings, various different scenarios. And when you really refer to them, when I discuss the concepts, you try and link those concepts to your day-to-day activities. And please feel free to add any example from your side. Please feel free to ask questions. Please feel free to raise if there is any doubt. Because more interactive you will be, more beneficial the training will be for all of us. Who all are really agreeable with this concept that if we interact, you ask questions, you give examples, you participate in the discussions, that is going to be more beneficial. Who all are agreeable to this? Show me a thumbs up. Yes. Show me a thumbs up. So I can see that the most of us are agreeable that interactive discussion is what it is going to be, for the sake of making it not only an academic discussion but also a session where we gain practical knowledge about how to implement. And one more thing, that whenever I say that show me a thumbs up if you agree, so you are welcome to show me a thumbs up. Who are on camera, they can show me physically. And who are not on camera, they can send those responses through the emojis. That is also a possibility, right? So my dear friends, we'll start our first session, which is about understanding the VOC, VOB, and how to convert those into CTQs using a concept of CTQ tree. As well as we will learn the concept of SIPOC, which is High Level Process Map, HLMP. Hope you recall that the first phase of our Six Sigma methodology is define. Who all remember that? What are the phases? Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And I want all of us to understand this beautifully structured, disciplined concept, which is going to drastically change our approach to problem solving. That is going to give us solutions. Please tell me what really happens until unless we are initiated on the path of Lean and Six Sigma. What really happens? That as soon as any problem comes to us, as soon as we identify any improvement opportunity, or for that matter, any problem comes to us that needs to be solved, what we do? We immediately start looking to the solutions. Somebody comes to you, you are a manager, somebody comes to you, sir, we want to improve this. You either start giving the solutions, or sometimes you ask your people to come up with solutions. Yes or no? And my dear friends, we want to completely change this approach when we learn Six Sigma. Have a deeper look at the methodology. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. The first phase is define, when we very clearly define that out of so many improvement opportunities or out of so many problems that need to be solved, which one shall be prioritized. Yes, and what exactly is the problem? What exactly is the present status of that issue that we want to resolve, and where we want to be? What is it that is really bothering us? Mani, Suresh, Revanna, Senthil, Muthuji?
Yes, sir.
Right? So first thing is to understand the problem in complete detail. And hope you will recall that understanding a problem is almost like halfway reaching to the solution. If you understand the problem correctly, and you understand that what is our present performance level and where we want to be, that is half the way, half the solution that we have achieved. Now, please note that we are not jumping to any solutions here. We are just defining, understanding problem and converting it into something measurable. Defining the problem and converting into something that can be measured. Because, my dear friends, Ganavel, Vimal, Aditya, only those aspects can be improved, those can be measured. Until unless you are able to measure something, we cannot really even hope to improve. So the first point is that we define a problem correctly, understand all the aspects of the problem, and convert it into something that can be measured. Now, next phase is measure phase. We check our own measurement system. How are we measuring the inputs? How are we measuring the results? How are we measuring the process parameters? Are we measuring the relevant parameters? Do we have the competence to measure them correctly? Is my measurement system that consists of lot many things, not only the unit of measurement, not only the equipment, but also sampling plan and schedule and through MSA. So what do we do? In the second phase, we make sure, my dear friends, please note, in second phase, we make sure that we are measuring the relevant, important performance characteristics, and our measurement system is capable. Even till now, we are not jumping to any conclusions. We are not looking at solutions. We go to the third phase, Suresh, and what we do? We analyze. Analyze based on our process approach. Hope you recall that we understand that this is methodology which is about process improvement. We understand that whatever we are supplying to the customer, be it a product, be it a service, is the outcome of a process. Yes or no? Whatever we are supplying, Mani bhai, Ravi bhai, Aditya, Vimal, Ganavel, Mudhoji, Senthil,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
whatever we are supplying to the customer, and that is exactly what the customer is experiencing, is outcome of a process. And do you think the output can be improved without improving the process? Not possible. If we want to improve the output, that is, if we want to enhance or improve the customer experience, customer is experiencing the output of the process. What we will have to improve? We will have to improve the process. And process, my dear friends, is nothing but a sequential set of activities that converts various given inputs going through various processing parameters to a desired output. Right? I have taken a slightly detailed definition. The simple most definition of the process is something that converts inputs into the outputs. Yes or no? Satish? Process is something that converts inputs into output. I am taking a more detailed definition so that we can understand what is important here. A process is a sequential set of activities. There will be various activities and there will be an optimum sequence. Yes or no? Please note.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
that will be going through various measurable performance processing parameters: temperature, pressure, time, yes, machining, and then it will be converted into a desirable output. Desirable by whom? Desirable by the customer. Whatever the customer is expecting us to deliver. Yes or no? I would like to take a very simple example which is very dear to me, which is about preparation of a cup of tea. Right? And incidentally, this example is very close to my heart because I got married around 35 years ago. And on the first couple of days, my wife prepared tea in the morning. Right? And she prepared tea for 3 consecutive mornings, and all the 3 times the output was very different. One day it was perfectly good, second day the sugar was less, third day the tea was more, or something like that. So there was a lot of variation in the output that made me, the customer, a little unhappy. Yes. So what I did, very foolishly and very proudly, I told my wife that I will show you and teach you how to make a proper cup of tea on a continual basis, day after day, day after day. Because what I have done, I have mastered the art of preparation of tea. So I have found out that okay, when I want to prepare a cup of tea, or for that matter 2 cups of tea for me and my wife, we will have to take this much of milk, this much of water, this shall be the sequence of adding this much of sugar, and I even standardized which brand of sugar I use, which brand of tea leaf I use, how I measure how much sugar goes for a cup of tea, how much tea powder goes for a cup of tea, what are the processing parameters, shall I boil the milk and water together first, or shall I first boil the water, add tea leaf and then add milk later? Sequence of activities. Ravi, can you see that? So
Yes.
after a couple of experiments, I found out the optimum combination of raw materials. Please note what I found out. Optimum combination of raw materials, optimum sequence of activities, and optimum processing parameters. Do you think that if I boil that mix for 3 minutes or 10 minutes, is it going to make any difference? Yes, it is going to make any difference. If I boil it on simmering flame or boil it on a full flame, is it going to make a difference? Yes, it is going to make a difference. These, my dear friends, are processing parameters. Suresh, Kanaveer, Vimal. Are you getting the point I want to communicate? Understand what is the optimum combination of inputs. Find out what is the optimum sequence of activities. Find out what are the correct processing parameters. Find out the ways by which the variation in all these can be minimized. And then you can be sure that day after day, and in my case, year after year, for past 35 years, the same taste, same aroma to my parish, because for the past 35 years, I am the one who is, for the past 35 years, I am the one who is making tea in the morning. The point, my dear friends, I want to communicate here is that if we want to improve the output, what will have to be mastered? What will have to be controlled? What will have to be optimized is the process. So what we do in the third phase, that is analyze phase, we analyze what are the various input factors. And we find out which is significant input factors. If I want to, please tell me, and who will answer me? Let us see fastest fingers first. If the concern, the critical to quality characteristic is a sweetness, which is the critical input factor? Is it sugar? Is it milk? Is it water? Is it tea leaf? Sugar. Yes.
Sugar.
If I want to say the, let us say the aroma, tea leaf, tea powder. Yes or no? So whatever is my critical to quality performance characteristic, there can be one or more critical input factors. That is what we find out by way of experimentation, by way of statistical analysis at the analyze phase. Right? Somebody says that, and then there can be various counter arguments, right? So in the analyze phase, what we do, we find out that for the particular critical to quality performance characteristic that we want to improve, what is or what are, if there are more than one possible, critical input factors, and what are the various processing parameters and the sequence. And then in the improve phase, my dear friends, which is the fourth phase of the methodology, we attempt and thereby find out the correct solutions. In the fourth phase, we are finding out the solutions after completely understanding the problem. Vimal, Suresh, Nanavir, Sant,
Yes, sir.
Satish, Arokia. Okay, so we are going through define, then measure, making sure that our measurement system is appropriate and sufficient. Then analyze, then improve, that is, we find the solutions. And then please tell me who think that it is important that we make sure that whatever the best process we have identified shall remain implemented, and if there are any variations that shall be immediately detected, that is, the process shall be monitored and controlled. Yes or no? Show me if you agree that this is what we must do. Right? Logical? Logical. And therefore, my dear friends, the fifth and final phase is that of control. Now, can you visualize the beauty, the common sense, the scientific thinking of this approach? Define, measure, analyze, then improve, and subsequently monitor and control, so that the improved process remains implemented, and as soon as there are any abnormalities, they are immediately detected and thereby acted upon, so that you keep getting consistently good results. Everyone clear about this? Angaraj? Jivan Jot, show me a thumbs up. Show me two thumbs ups if you are very happy, and show me thumbs down if you are not happy. I hope and wish that I shall not have to see that day. when people show me a thumbs down. But yes, that is also a possibility. If you do not agree with me or you have doubt, you can show me a thumbs down that we want to discuss this further, right? And that is how we will make it more and more interactive, right? If you interact, you will learn. If you'll interact. And now with that, whenever I am going to discuss certain concepts, my ask is that in your minds, please keep connecting those concepts with your real life situation. All of us are coming from various different industries. I will be taking example from one industry. I cannot take examples from each and every industry. Yes, but you can definitely connect the topic that we are discussing with your real life problems. Show me a thumbs up. Is that is what you commit that you will be doing?
Yes.
Rajendra, Tangaraj? Yes. So that is my ask. And I am very sure that if we move forward with this approach, we will not only master the academic concepts, we will also master the art of implementation. And please note that one of the important lessons I have already given you, which is that for a successful Lean and Six Sigma practitioner, it is very important to connect with the team. Can you see that? Especially in the Lean methodology. Because Six Sigma, to some extent, works with quite a lot of data and quite a lot of statistical analysis. So the people factor is slightly less, but still always you will have a project team. You will have to work with the team. You are aware of that. There will be team leader, there will be team members. Yes or no? So we will have to involve and establish proper communication with our team. And very importantly, this is, my dear friends, the core skill for the Lean practitioners. Because in the Lean approach, every employee, it is our responsibility to make every employee a problem solver. It is our responsibility as a Lean champion, as a Lean expert, that we make sure that everyone in our organization is competent and involved and motivated to identify problems and solve problems. And therefore, it is very important that we develop our communication skills and create an environment when everyone is able and willing. Please note, every word has a significance. Every word has a significance. Everyone in our team must be able and willing to contribute to process improvements. And please show me a thumbs up if you agree that if everyone in our organization is not only able but also willing to find out and solve the problems, that is a win-win situation for everyone. Yes? Okay. So now let me start by sharing a presentation so that we can have a very specific and to the point understanding of the topics that we want to discuss today. So, my dear friends, as we discussed, first I will take a topic from the define phase, where we will start with the project identification, and we will also learn what is the meaning of VOC or VOB or CTQ, and what do we mean by CTQ tree. Anyone willing to attempt that what is the meaning of VOC and what is the meaning of VOB? Yes.
And
Voice of business.
Voice of
Perfect.
business.
Excellent. I'm so happy to note that you have got a very clear and correct understanding of these two words. Voice of the customer and voice of the business. And both of these voices are very, very important. Please note that our businesses can thrive only when our customers are happy. We must be able to understand and interpret what our customer feels about us. What is it that our what are the expectations of our customer from us, that is from the product or services that we are providing. That is coming from the voice of the customer, and which is typically about the quality performance, which is typically about our on-time performance, which is typically about our customer care performance, which is typically about the cost. Yes or no? Quality, cost, delivery and service. QCDS. All of us have grown with these concepts, right? When we were young, we were told that QCDS is something very, very important, which is what? Quality, cost, delivery and customer service. Yes? So that typically is about your VOC, voice of the customer. Similarly, what is VOB? What is it that the business owners want? What is it that the business wants? Please tell me what is the sole purpose of a business, and please don't tell me that just like the politicians come and say that we want to really we came to the politics to serve the people. Nobody comes to serve anybody. Nobody goes anywhere to serve anybody. Everybody is, every business is there for making money, for profit. Yes or no?
Profit, yeah. Yes.
For profit. I am teaching you because I might say that this is my passion, this, that. But ultimately, if the bosses do not pay me, I will not come and take classes. Yes or no? So, for every business, the sole driver is the profit and profitability. So, when we will be talking of the voice of the business, the profit, the business volume, the turnover, the market share, our penetration to the market, all these will be voice of the business, right? And we will have to, when we go and identify that what problems need to be solved, we not only, my dear friends, we not only look at the voice of the customer, but necessarily we must also look at the voice of the business. What is it that the business wants? Is there sufficient profitability? Are we capturing the sufficient market share? Are we growing on year basis in terms of the business volumes, in terms of profitability, in terms of profit margins, in terms of effectiveness? So, my dear friends, VOC is typically about the effectiveness. The customer, please listen to me very, very carefully, Vimal, Ravi, that the customer is not really concerned the cost that you have incurred. He just want to have a product which has got the perfect quality and at the minimum cost. He is not really concerned about your efficiency. He is concerned about your effectiveness. Ravi, can you see that? Evanna, Muthuji, Sant, can you see that? Customer,
Yes, sir.
it can be external customer, it can be internal customer, any which way. But they are concerned mostly about the effectiveness, not about efficiency. Whereas when you are talking of the VOB, can you see my cursor? When we are talking of VOB, what is it that the business owners want? What is it that the business wants? And when I say about the business owners, it is not only your managing director or the promoter. It is your shareholder. It is about stakeholders. Yes, that is how the your price of your share goes up or down in a stock market. Yes or no? And they are concerned not only about the effectiveness but also about the efficiency. At what cost we achieve those results? Yes or no? And then there is this particular concept of CTQ or CTB. They are similar. CTQ, as the name itself suggests, is critical to quality. What is the full form of CTQ? Critical to quality. And what is the full form of CTB? It is critical to business. CTB is critical to business. So all of us understand when I say CTQ, this is an abbreviation, and what is the full form of this abbreviation? Critical to quality. But I want my friends, that is you, to have a deeper understanding of CTQ. Everyone, please take a pen and paper and write down. A CTQ is critical to quality, measurable performance characteristic with technical specifications. Please take your time, take a pen and paper and write down this. CTQ is critical to quality, obviously, yes or no? Critical to quality, measurable. Please write in bold and capital. Measurable performance characteristic with technical specifications. Can somebody type this in the chat box? I will type, you can follow me here. I cannot see where the chat box is gone. Okay, let me find out. So, critical to quality, measurable. I will type in the chat box, critical to quality, critical to quality, measurable performance characteristic with technical specifications. So when I say CTQ, please note that it is one of the various performance characteristics. We are talking of about any product or service. There are various performance characteristics. Yes or no? Suppose, please take the case of, let's say this mobile. There are various performance characteristics. The memory, the camera, the sound quality, etc., 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 including the weight, including the size, right? Out of these so many performance characteristics, there will be some, maybe one, maybe more, which will be critical in the eyes of the customer. Every product or service can have, rather it definitely has. Karthik, Sanjit, Arul, Revanna, every product or service has so many performance characteristics. You can list out. Yes or no?
Yes.
And out of those, some of them will be critical to a customer. For example, I will take that very simple example of the tea, because I have been making tea for the past how many years?
35 years.
35 years. And suppose there is someone who is diabetic, and one of my friends is diabetic. When he comes to my home and I serve him tea, what is out of so many possible characteristics of a tea?
Sugar.
Sweetness.
Sugarless.
Sweetness is critical to quality for him. It is more important than aroma. Yes or no? It is more important than the consistency. It is more important than the volume. It is more important than the temperature. It is more important than the crockery in which I serve. Yes or no? All these are performance characteristics. But to him, what is critical to quality? Performance characteristic? Sweetness. So, and then whether or not you are meeting the customer expectations, how can you tell until unless you are able to measure it? For example, let us say temperature is important. And until unless you have the specification that what will make the customer happy, it must be, let us say, between 80 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. That is what your customer wants. Suppose you go to a restaurant and the restaurant serves you you order for a hot cup of tea, or for that matter, a hot cup of coffee, and they serve you which is not really hot enough. They are not meeting your specifications. They are not meeting your expectations. But typically what happens, until unless that is made measurable. How can you say that it is meeting the customer expectations or not? And for that matter, it also must have the technical specification. What is the acceptable range? Yes, and now is it making sense? CTQ is critical to quality performance characteristic. Out of so many performance characteristics, it is Vimal Kumar, Karthik, Mani, Satish, Rajendran ji, Suresh, Ravi. It is out of so many performance characteristics, it is critical to quality performance characteristics, which must be somehow we must find a way by which we can measure it, and somehow we must find a specification within which the customer will be happy. Show me a thumbs up if that concept is clear to you, all of you. Very important concept, fundamental to all of us. And typically what happens? That customers will not be able to express their wants and desires and expectations into measurable or into specific things. For example, and on a promise that if you make this promise that whenever you get the opportunity to, let's say, meet my wife, you will not quote this example. That is what I really face every month. Whenever I get salary, I take my wife for shopping, right? And then she goes to a sari shop. And then she tells the shop owner that, Bhaiya, show me nice colors. Bhaiya, अच्छे रंग दिखाना. Bhaiya, अच्छे रंग दिखाना. Now what is nice colors to her might not be nice colors in the eyes of the shopkeeper. So until unless you specify. So one day I took her to, let's say, a shop in Bangalore. And then they showed all dark maroons, brown shades. And my wife was really upset. I want you to show me nice colors. You are showing me brown and grey and what is this? Then I requested shop, Bhaiya, listen to me. Show us some pink, yellow, bright, festive colors. My dear friends, typically, no customer will be able or willing to clearly specify his or her expectations. It is the responsibility of us, the business owners, the process improvement experts, to be able to convert the customer's expectations, desires into something that is measurable with technical specifications also, so that we can tell our team who are manufacturing or providing service that, okay, this is where we want the customers, this is what the customer will be satisfied. Yes, let's say in terms of temperature, in terms of weight, in terms of surface finish. Or let us take example of, let us say, a service industry. How much time it takes to respond to a query. Let us take another example of, let's say, a bank. How much time it takes to open a bank account. Let us take the example of a insurance company. How much time it takes to settle an insurance claim. Yes? Yes, Aditya?
Sir, in a VOB also, VOC involved directly at the voice of customer. Right?
VOC is voice of customer.
Yeah.
And VOB is voice of the business.
Sir, typically what we are discussing, clearly specified and measurable items, for example, color and combinations. So this is a voice of customer, right?
Yes. And your customer can be internal, your customer can be external. Right? So external customer is someone who is ultimately paying for your products and services and who is outside of the organization. However, please note that within a process, within an organization also, there are various customers. You are supplying to the next department. You are internal supplier and the department you are supplying to is your internal customer. Yes, I will take one example. Suppose both of us are working, Aditya and Vivek are working in a company which is into really turning, making bolts, right? Steel bolts. You are working on lathe machines where you turn shafts into a particular length and diameter, and then you supply those to me, and I am turning threads on them. You are what? You are my internal supplier,
Yes, sir.
and I am your internal customer.
Come on.
And it in the same terms, when we are wanting to understand the customer expectations, it is not only about the external customers, it is also about the internal customer. What I want you to supply all the shafts with the correct length, diameter, surface finish, correct composition of the material at the time when I want them. Yes or no?
Yes.
And am I concerned that how much time and effort you spend on them? I am not concerned. I am concerned only with what you are giving me. Suppose you make 1000 pieces and you reject 100 out of those, and my want was to give me 900 pieces per hour, and you are giving me 900 pieces per hour, wasting 100 pieces. I am not concerned as long as my ask was 900 pieces, you are giving me 900 pieces. But your business owner, your manager, your managing director is worried. Aditya, can you see that? If you are wasting those 100 pieces, then he is worried. That is coming from the voice of business. So, when we listen to the voice of customer, something that we find out as measurable is known as CTQ, critical to quality. And when we listen to the voice of business, something that is measurable is known as critical to business, CTB. It is just a matter of really saying, can you see that? We need to find out something that is measurable and must have a target value. Yes? And please note that typically the CTBs can be improved only when CTQs are improved, because the business will thrive only when your customers are happy. Can you see that? There is a direct linkages. Okay. So with that, we are now ready to have a deeper look at these concepts. What is VOC, VOB, CTQ tree? Let us have a look here. So VOC. Aditya, I want you to read this out. Voice of customer. These are the voices of.
These are the voice of first the end users who receive the final product.
Yes.
Second, the voice of the process owner who receive the intermediate output from the previous process and use them as an input in their process. End users are called external customer and the process owners are called internal customer. The viewers are mostly concerned about the process effectiveness.
Everyone clear about whatever Aditya just said? That is exactly what we have discussed. Now I will request Ravi to read out what is the meaning of the voice of business.
Yes, sir. So, voice of business, these are the voice of the team leaders, managers, department heads, and CXOs about the products, services, and processes. VOBs are concerned about both the process effectiveness and process efficiency.
Yes, everyone care about this? The meaning of the what is the meaning of the process effectiveness, what is the meaning of the process efficiency, and why VOC is not bothering about the efficiency, and why the managers and team leaders and business owners and managing directors and CEOs and CEOs are concerned about both the things. Yes or no? Show me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Vimal? Perfect. Now, I want Vimal to read out this slide.
Voice of business defines the needs, wants, and expectations of the business owners, stockholders, stakeholders, and others who concern themselves with the long-term success and viability of your organization. VOB needs, wants, and expectations are usually derived from organization's financial data. Your senior leadership might be concerned with the profits, market share, and direct and indirect costs and return on invested capital. Your stockholders' needs might be expressed as dividend growth, P/E ratio, share price by earnings per share, or an increase in the stock price. Beyond just financial data, your VOB might want to know your company's NPS, that is Net Promoter Score, customers rating, and feedback from your employees.
Yes, thank you very much, Vimal. And I hope the whole concept has been very nicely explained by Vimal. Yes, let's
Yes.
clap for Ravi, Vimal, and Aditya who have helped us in understanding these concepts beautifully.
Yes, super.
Perfect. Perfect. So please note that typically we say that the voice of business is only about the financial data, which sometimes it is beyond that. What is the customer satisfaction rating? Right? Your customer satisfaction record. What is your, let us say, return rate or your market penetration? Which are not purely financial, but help clear the heads of the business owners that whether the business is moving in the right direction or not. Is that clear? Yes or no? Arey bhai bolo.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay. So now I will
Yes, sir.
request Rajendran to read out this slide for us. Voice of the customer.
Voice of customer. Expressions or statements that drive either satisfaction or dissatisfaction about a product or service. Voice of customer is used to describe customer needs and expectations and their perceptions of the product or service.
Perfect. And please note what just have Rajendran has said as a very big significance. Voice of the customer is number one. These are the expressions or statements that the customers make, which tell us about whether or not they are satisfied or dissatisfied about a product or service. Now, voice of the customer is used to describe customers' needs and expectations. And please note, very importantly, not only needs and expectations, but their perceptions about our product or service. Can you see the impact of this sentence? They are not only, and the perceptions at times can be wrong also. But if we realize that, okay, their perceptions are something that is hurting our business, then we can work on improving their perceptions. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Can you see that? So the voice of the customer is used to describe customers' needs and expectations and their perceptions. Please note. Therefore, the perception, and thank you very much, Rajendran. I want everyone to once again clap for him also.
Okay, sir.
Perfectly good. Okay. So now there are two ways, my dear friends, to listen to voice of customer. Two ways. One is called proactive approach
Sir, one
another
doubt
is
here,
called
sir. This is Manivan here.
reactive approach.
Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Sir, one doubt here. So
Yeah,
we
please
talk
go ahead.
about the voice of customer here.
Mhm.
We say that it is used to describe the customer needs and expectation and their perception. So perception is something where, in other way, it can be called as also an assumption, right? Where it is an exact expectation of the customer will not be equal to an perception or an assumption. Perception might differ by person to person, but the voice of customer is the replication or the expectation of the customer exactly what they need. Is that right?
Yeah, very correct, very correct. And I will add to your the way you have explained is perfectly correct. The point is that at times that your product might be perfectly good. Okay. That is, it is within specifications, everything is all right. But somehow the perception is not really favorable to you. So please tell me, where shall we be working? Shall we be working on improving the performance characteristic of our product or making sure that the perception is also improved? Maybe through more interaction with them, with more promotional campaigns, with some kind of effort that can create the correct and favorable perception in the minds of the customer. And please note that only yesterday I was really reading an article that in today's day and time, it is more about perception. It is more about perception than the real performance aspects. So as leaders, we must understand that that is also something very, very critical. And thank you very much everyone for making this such a lively discussion that we will never forget that in addition to understanding the customer's needs and wants. VOC is also used, must also be used for understanding what is the customer perception about our products and services. Now, as I was discussing, there are two ways of listening to the voice of customer. One is known as proactive and another is known as reactive. Proactive is that the business itself reaches out to the customer and asks and tries to understand what is it that the customers want, what is the perception of the customer. We reach out to the customer as business. Whereas the reactive approach is that whether or not we want, the customer comes through us and shares his opinion and understanding, and typically this being the world, तो दुनिया में if he is happy he will seldom come to us, but he is angry he will come to us. So it is very rarely that people will come and really congratulate us. That really happens very rarely, but typically the reactive approach is when they are not satisfied, right? So they will come up and they really lodge complaints, or there will be service calls, or there will be returns, or there will be dwindling market share. All these, my dear friends, are the ways of listening to the voice of customer in a reactive manner. Now please look at the sketch here. What do you think? This is what is happening here? Is this a proactive approach or a reactive approach? Reactive, because the customer has
reactive
approach because the customer has come to the return window and he is really raising his concerns and dissatisfaction, and we are recording it. Yes or no? Can you see that we are recording? What we are recording is voice of customer, however in a reactive manner. Now please tell me, out of these sketches, which approach is this, proactive or reactive? Reactive, because the customer has came back with, let's say, and this is what returns, and they are come up with a particular complaint. We are listening to the voice of customer, and what is this? There is a business proactive. They are reaching out on their own to the customer and trying to understand what was their experience, what do they want more. And please note that every day nowadays, whenever you go to a mall, they will ask you to really show a feedback form, right? You go to a restaurant, they will ask for your feedback. Yes or no? At times it becomes irritating for me also. But yes, now people have understood the value of listening to the there will be let's say a delivery boy coming to you, and then or Ola Uber driver, and they will ask for rating. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What is that? Proactive or reactive? They want to have your feedback. They want to understand what you feel about the product or service they are providing in a proactive manner. So we have seen many examples here. So some examples of the proactive systems are interviews, studies of focus groups. Please note, studies on focus groups, not in general of the whole population. You identify your target audience and conduct focus group activities, surveys, sales visits or calls, market research or monitoring of the market trends, benchmarking, scorecards, dashboards. All these are examples of proactive systems. Now, examples of the reactive system: customer complaints, service calls, lodging of the problems, calls for technical support, customer service calls, claims, credits, dwindling sales reports, product return information, warranty claims, web page activity. Now, this is a gray area. Web page activity, you can use this as a proactive approach also. You can use this as a reactive approach also. Good businesses keep a track of what is the footfall on their web page, how many people are coming and they are converting into sales and all. Yes. So now we have understood what is the meaning of VOC. We have also understood the meaning of B, and as I have explained that typically customers will not be able to very specifically mention what they want. They will say they just, suppose I ask you, and which is, please note, that is not a real offer that I am making. I am just for the sake of academic discussion. Suppose I say, and please, I am making a disclaimer here, this is not a real offer. It is just for a sake of, suppose I say that who all are on camera for at least 90% of the time, I will take you out for a dinner tonight. Suppose. Although I am making a disclaimer, oh, ye dekho, Jeevan Jyot immediately came. Jeevan Jyot, it can be a real offer as well if people are there on camera. No problem. So let us say if I ask that people who are more than 90% of the time on camera, I will take you for a dinner out tonight. Where do you want to go? Sir, we want to go to a nice place where good food is served. Now, this is your expectation, but very ambiguous, not specific. Yes or no? Senthil? Arun, you are also a really probable candidate who will be going with us. Okay, so you are there. Now there is one person, Acer, name I cannot, Acer probably is the tool he is using. Okay, so the point is that typically customers are, as we understood that these voice of the customers are expressions or statements that describe the drivers of customer satisfaction. For example, you want to go to a nice and happening place where nice food is served. Yes or no? That is where we want to go. But this is very ambiguous. And these are various drivers of communication. Please, drivers of customer satisfaction. Please note, a nice and happening place is one aspect. Good food is served is another aspect. With appropriate parking facility is another aspect. Yes or no? So there are various groups of characteristics. Those are called drivers. Yes or no? Suppose I am now making another fictitious offer, which is again not a real offer. People who score, let us say 95% in the final examination of your certification, I will buy you a, let's say, laptop. And please note, this is, I'm just putting a disclaimer. This is just for the sake of discussion. Now, what kind of laptop you want? Sir, must be the lightweight, the speed must be very high, the resolution must be good, etc., etc., etc. These are very vague. Can you see that? Senthil, Arul, Sant, Rokya, Satish, these are very vague. So typically these are vague, and so this is, let us say, these are expressions or statements that describe the drivers of customer satisfaction. For example, I don't want to wait too long to get my calls answered. This is what a typically response or expectations will be, and this will have to be converted into something more specific, which can be worked upon into something measurable. So what we will do? We will say that let us convert this voice of customer into CTQ, and how that will happen, I will show you how that will happen. These are measurable elements that define customer satisfaction. So for example, this is the VOC. Rajendran, what is the VOC here in this example? Can you read out, Rajendran? Please unmute.
I don't want to wait too long to get my call answered.
Right. So very valid expectation, but very vague, right? And then we will convert this into call answering time. Yes, this is something that can be measured into how many minutes or seconds you answer, right? And then we can also have a technical specification around this. So let us say for our organization, we can define that within 30 seconds of someone attempting to contact our call center, the response must be within 30 seconds.
Right.
Yes or no? Then what is happening? people said that they don't want to wait too long. That was a vague, although valid, expression of the want. What we have done, Vimal, Rajendra, Tangaraj, Senthil, what we have done, we have converted that into something that is measurable with technical specifications. So if you people are working for, let us say, my call center, and I say that since the customer expectation is that they do not want to wait for too long, so our CTQ is call answering time, and technical specification is within 30 seconds they must be answered. If we agree and develop this understanding, then whether or not we'll be able to find out whether or not we are meeting the customer expectations, yes or no, and then we can also tell the customers that your calls will be answered within 30 seconds. So if they are answered within 30 seconds, the customers will be happy, but they will not be able to explain that what they really want. Another example here. So somebody says for a, let us say, a insurance company, I don't want to wait too long. Not for an insurance company, but for, let us say, a online goods provider, for example, Amazon or Flipkart. And suppose you return that money, right? You don't want to really wait. Your expectation is that the refund must be faster, within, let us say, 24 hours. So typically they will say the refund must be faster. It is us who will find out that what is the correct CTQ for this. It is refund processing time. What we have done, Vimal, Raju, what we have done, we have converted this into something that is measurable. And the story will not stop here. We must find out the technical specifications. We must define that what is my specification or commitment to the customer. Yes or no? For example, and again taking care of that fictitious example of offering a laptop as a price. Okay, so you say that must be lightweight. Must be lightweight. Now, I will first convert that into a measurable. Let's weigh the equipment, and then I will say that the weight should be, let us say, less than 600 grams, whatever. Yes, or you want to have a thin laptop. Yes, a nice to carry laptop. So I will say that, okay, let's define thickness, and thickness shall be less than, let us say, 1 inch, 25.4 millimeters. Yes or no? Can you see that? So now can you relate with my insistence when I asked all of you to write down that what is the meaning of CTQ? Critical to quality. Please repeat after me, everyone. Critical to quality. Please unmute, all of you. Please unmute and repeat after me. Critical to quality. Measurable.
Measurable.
Performance characteristic.
Performance characteristics.
With technical specifications.
With technical specifications.
If we are able to do that, then we will be on the right path to meet the customer expectations. Show me a thumbs up if all of you are agreeable with that. This concept is clear to all of us now. So let me understand how much you have understood. Okay, so if a customer segment complains about delay in responding to their queries, what is the concern? Delay in responding to the queries. Out of these 4 possibilities, please suggest which is the appropriate CTQ. Shall response time. Let us check. Yes, correct. If a customer segment complains about it takes very long time to complete a transaction. It takes very long time to complete a transaction. Transaction time. Now suppose, so correct answer is transaction time. Suppose, now listen to me very, very carefully, and there can be more than one correct answers. Be very attentive. There can be one correct answer, there can be no correct answer, and there can be more than one correct answer. Now the question is, to capture the VOC, it is important to collect data from a large representative sample of the target customer base. I will repeat. Thangaraj, I will repeat. To capture the VOC, it is important to collect data from a large representative sample of the target customer base. To collect this data, Six Sigma practitioners can use. Please tell me. Out of
Case
this.
studies.
Census data.
Census data.
Census data is about the whole population.
Surveys and questions.
Surveys and
We are
questions.
talking of the targeted customer base. So the government records, which is talking of the whole population, census data, which is talking of the whole population, will not be all that useful. What is going to be useful? Surveys and questionnaires.
Surveys and questionnaires.
And maybe case studies. Yes or no? And please be alert that in your examination there can be questions and there will be no disclaimer that there can be more than one right answer. So just as in this case there are two right answers. Right? Surveys and questionnaires as well as case studies is the correct answer, and whereas government records and census data is not the correct answer. Agreeing with me? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Now let us learn a very simple quick trick to a very scientific way, the scientific thinking method of how to convert VOCs into CTQs. Right? Don't you think it is important to be able to convert the VOCs into CTQs? Yes or no? It is important. Sant, Rajendran, Vimal, Chanthil,
Yes, sir.
Aditya, Ravi, Suresh. Yes, it is important, and let us learn. So there is a very simple scientific method for this. First, you identify VOC. Listen to the customer.
Yes, sir.
Right? And typically it will be a very generalistic statement. Typically it will be very difficult to measure. Can you see my cursor here? Typically it will be a very general vague statement, and typically whatever they say it will be hard to measure. Just like my dear wife, she is standing there, she says bhaiya achhe achhe rang dekha. Or just as you friends are telling me, sir, take us to a good happening place. Yes or no? Too general, too vague, too difficult to measure. Then what we do, that we convert this into drivers of customer satisfaction in the second column. There are three columns here. Yes, first column was about the VOC, second column is about drivers of customer satisfaction. And then once you have grouped these into these broad categories, then you identify that what shall be the CTQs. Let us take two examples. One is there on your screen and one we will develop. Okay. So VOC is that we want good customer service. For example, this is the exact case study that I did for our own business, for my own business, which is Vision Excellence. What we do, we run a consulting organization and training and certification organization. Yes or no? That is what Vision Excellence is. We are not only into teaching and training, we are also into consulting, right? So when we talk to our customer, they say that we want good customer service. We talk to you as the students, you say, sir, we want to have good responses. Okay. So what are the drivers of customer satisfaction? First, there must be knowledgeable representative. Whenever you, my dear friends, enrolled for this course, maybe you interacted with one or more of our people, maybe Prabhakaranji, maybe Hema. Yes or no? So you want them to be knowledgeable. You want them to be aware that when the next session is coming, when the what are the timings, what is the procedure, what is the qualification, what is the fees, what is the mode of payment, etc., etc., etc. What are our credentials, how many people we have already trained, etc., etc., etc. You wanted to interact to the knowledgeable representatives. Fact number one. Fact number two, you would love to interact with friendly representatives. Please note, you go to a shop and the shopkeeper is really sulking. Would you like to really purchase from there? No. If the shopkeeper is friendly, it shows that he is happy that you came, whether or not you buy. It is an important aspect. Yes or no? Rajendran, Sant, Senthil?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you don't want to wait too long for your responses. So, as a example, I have taken these three broad categories that define good customer service. Is that clear to you? A good customer service, three primary, and there can be many more. There can be many more. Just for the sake of academic discussion, I have identified three very important drivers of customer satisfaction, which is knowledgeable representatives, friendly representatives, and short wait time. Now, developing our thought further from this, once you identified the drivers of customer satisfaction, we identify the CTQs. Answers given by the representatives must be correct. Yes, 100% of the answers must be correct. If they are just making wrong answers, you are not happy. Ultimately, you will get to know. They said that the fees is rupees 5,900 and they forgot to mention the GST. Yes, you will not be happy because that boy was himself not aware that GST is also involved. Yes or no?
Yes.
Answers must be correct. Representatives must answer questions asked by the customer on the spot. That is immediately. That is a characteristic of knowledgeable representative. Similarly, research information. Suppose they say that we will research and find out and get back to you. They must come back to you quickly. Shall not take ages when they come back to you. Similarly, for about friendly representatives, if they greet you by name, yes. If they show their happy faces, if they listen to you patiently, they do not interrupt you when you are really explaining, or they listen out to you, they spend time. Yes. Okay. Similarly, short wait time. So when you call somebody and then say that, okay, your call is being transferred, this, that, you are not going to really appreciate that. So another CTQ, that time duration for which you are serviced. Yes or no? Similarly, how many buttons you were really required to press till the time you reach to the correct person. Press 1 for this, press 1 for Hindi, press 2 for English, then put your this, that. So if there are very less really these events, you are happy. Yes or no? So can you see that in how many clicks you are reaching to the correct person is also one very important characteristic of the service. So can you see that once we have identified and defined the VOC, the second column, Ravi, Zenith, is that of drivers of customer satisfaction, and third column is that we identify the CTQs. And now, as you can see, this is not the complete, right? So we will then convert these into something that is measurable, and then we will associate them with the technical specifications. Yes, let us take that example also. So what is VOC? Who will help me read this out? Senthil, can you read this?
Yeah, the voice of the customer.
Yeah, drivers.
The drivers of customer satisfaction.
Yes, and CTQ is
critical to quality, measurable, performance characteristics with technical
specifications. Yes, perfect. So now I will just give me a minute. There was some kind of a technical glitch. Okay. So now we will work on this example. VOC. What is VOC? I want a good footwear. General statement. You ask your son or daughter, they are going to purchase you are going to purchase a good footwear for them, and they will say, do you want a good footwear? Now let us start with developing that what shall be so What we want to do? We want to convert less specific things into more specific things. We want to convert hard to measure things into easy to measure things. So first think of drivers. Drivers, yes or no? Lightweight, comfortable, durable, roomy enough, stable, and there can be many more. Example, fashionable.
Cost, sir. Cost is
Example,
driver.
cost effective. Yes, there can be many more. And just for the sake of academic discussion, I have written here 5. Lightweight, comfortable, durable, roomy enough, and stable. Yes, and there can be many more. Example, fashionable.
Size.
Example, maybe the size will come in the comfortable aspect. Cost effective.
Cost effective.
Yes. And then these needs, my dear friends, to be converted into what? Into measurable with specifications. So lightweight can be converted into overall weight in grams. Measurable. And then you specify the weights between 600 grams to 700 grams. That's what you can tell to your manufacturing people. And that's what you can claim on for your brand image. For example, comfortable, heel height in centimeters. Yes, durability. For so many kilometers it will last. Right? For roomy enough, the contour width and depth. And for the stability, the heel flatness. And as you can see, for every driver of customer satisfaction, there can be one or more. Please note, there can be one or more CTQs. Yes, and until unless, and this is where what we have done here, we have converted everything into something measurable, but still one thing is missing. What is that? Technical specifications. Yes, Manibhai?
Sir, when we talk about the drivers, we are plotting here very critical and a few drivers for this particular VOC, right?
Yes.
When we plot the drivers, we also need to think whether it is measurable or not before plotting it, because there are few drivers which might not have a proper measuring things. So
very correct. So initially they will not be so very obvious or measurable, just as Mani is explaining. Yes, Mani, please explain. You are explaining very correctly. Please go ahead.
So in that case, we need to first of all think about whether we have a proper measurable parameters for our drivers and bring them into the picture for our
exactly analysis. So for every driver that we have identified, we must find out that what is the representative measurable aspect.
Yeah.
Yes, Mani? Thank you very much. Please come on screen. I want to congratulate you for the very correct understanding. Yes. So just as Manibhai and want everyone to clap for him, very correctly he has explained that when we start converting VOCs into CTQs, this is a very logical journey. First we identify the various drivers of customer satisfaction. And then starting from that, there we develop how we can identify a particular characteristic which is measurable. Yes, for example, again coming back to that fictitious and fake offer that I have made, that I will take you to a good dinner tonight. Yes, please note, it is a fake offer, not a real offer. Okay, so then the drivers of customer satisfaction, you want a happening place, you want nice food, you want, then for nice food I will write, okay, is it having continental and Chinese and then Mediterranean and then South Indian and North Indian, etc., 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 Gujarati. What is the range? How many various different? Is it a vegetarian, non-vegetarian? Then about the, let us say, cost effectiveness. How much it really costs for, let's say, average of 2 persons, etc., etc. That is what you check on your various sites. Yes or no? So thank you, Manibhai, once again for giving us a very correct understanding that something that was vague, that was difficult to measure. has to be converted using this concept into CTQs that are easy to measure and very, very specific. Yes, we are talking of the weight, we are talking of the temperature, we are talking of the height, we are talking of the affordability, we are talking of the longevity, we are talking of the speed, we are talking of the fuel efficiency. So, there are certain examples here on your screen. Yes, for example, for manufacturing, typical examples of CTQs are dimensions, surface finish, strength. Typical examples for the electronic goods, for example, computers, RAM speed, SSD capacity, screen size, and there can be many more. Slim, fast, lightweight, etc., etc. For household appliances, the tonnage capacity or the RPM. For FMCGs, fast moving consumer goods, fill volumes, FSSAI norms. For example, for four-wheelers, the mileage, maximum speed, engine CC, torque, acceleration, load it can carry. Yes, for electric scooters, let's say the range. Only recently, company has launched an electric scooter. The range it claims it's 650 kilometers. It is important characteristic. Yes or no? Once fully charged. Then self-weight, payload. For banking, minimum account balance, interest rate, loan processing time. For e-commerce, the delivery time. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, some example for the CTBs. This we have derived from voice of the business. Just as we derive CTQs from voice of the customer. Can you see? We derive CTQs from the voice of the customer. In the same manner, we can derive CTBs, that is critical to business, from the voice of the business. Some examples here. Typically, your CXOs, they will be talking about the market share, share price, cash CC, earning before interest, taxes, etc. EBI, DTA, gross profit margin, percentage decrease in production to market time, unused capacity, reduction in pending pendencies, percentages. Some examples, some more examples of CTBs, and they are also very important. Please note, sometimes we choose products, select projects based on these: process capability, work in process inventory, defects ratio, process cycle time, first pass yield, number of units produced per resource, that is productivity, operating cost, machine downtime, manufacturing lead times, takt time, cycle time. Can you see? Your customer, my dear friends, please note, is not concerned about these. Can you see that? Aditya, Suresh, Ravanna, Ravi Bhai, Zenith, San,
Yes, sir.
Aditya,
Yes, sir.
can you see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your customer is not worried about whether or not you carry so much inventory or so much inventory. He is not worried about what is your cycle time, what is your machine downtime, what is your overhead cost. He is not interested, he is not bothered. But these are important. For whom? For business. So, depending on that, you can take a project that will help you reduce your changeover time using concept of SMET. You can identify a project which will reduce your work in process inventory. You can identify a project which will reduce your machine downtime using the concept of TPM, that is total productive maintenance. Yes, can you see that? Everyone, show me a thumbs up. Please come on cameras. Please come on cameras. Show me a thumbs up if you are able to understand all these concepts. And if you are not so very clear about what do you mean by takt time, cycle time and all, please note that we at Vision Excellence also run a program, and I am the one who conduct that, which is a Lean Champion course. I have a full 2-day course where I teach people about these, because these are also very, they need a lot of discussions. Throughput time, lead time, cycle time, takt time, relationship, VSM. So they are also very, very important. So if you feel interested, you can keep following us on our website or on LinkedIn. So we declare every 2 months I run a course, right? So this February course was on 1st and 2nd. So next course will be coming up in March somewhere. Okay. Okay, so if you are interested, you can really enroll there. So there I explain all these things. What is MTTF, what is MTBF, MTTR, overtime, etc., 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 EBITDA. There are so many concepts. The point is that are you able to now grasp quickly? Please tell me that whatever is important in the eyes of the customer, we need to identify and capture. Whatever is important in the eyes of the business owners, that is for the businesses, we must identify and capture, and definitely, we must make them specific, measurable, with technical specifications, and that is the only way we can make sure whether or not we are coming up to the expectations of the customer or expectations of the businesses. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So with that, my dear friends, we will stop for 15 minutes for a short break. It is 8:27. We have got 3 minutes. If there are any questions here, please feel free to ask. We'll go for a break at 8:30 and we will again reconnect at 8:45. Right. So anybody who has any question, any doubt, or anybody who wants to really give some example from his experience or any project that he can see that, okay, yes, this is an opportunity for improvement for me in my business, let us say in terms of lead time, in terms of cycle time, in terms of defect ratio. No?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, just last 1 month, my CEO sir is involving because of the order is going from the downward side. So CEO sir is going to deeply observe कि drivers are not happy. His owners are happy because in owners have no issues, but drivers are not no happy because of poor facilities and delivery time is very high. So and no good facilities. So now currently he observing this thing and now improving these things to good facilities from the drivers and foods arranging from the drivers, tea arranging because the owners are not running the trucks and buses, but the drivers is running, and mainly the deal and all of the communication main measure from the drivers. So we are tracking currently from the drivers. Now we observing the orders are again to come and business are going from the growing side.
Very good. Perfect and excellent example, Sant. I want everyone to please come on camera and clap for it. He has given an excellent example that really highlights two very important points. Sant, thank you very much. What are these two very important points that he has just highlighted? One is that the drivers, that is our people, are not happy. What is this? Is this voice of customer or voice of business? This is voice of customer. Voice of internal customer. Because the service providers to the drivers of our organizations are who? The HR department or the admin department or the managers, right? They are the service providers. And they are the internal suppliers to the drivers, and drivers as internal customers are not happy. Can you see? Everyone, can you see that? Can you see that? This is a excellent example of internal customers and internal suppliers. Yes or no? Show me a thumbs up if all of us are agreeable with that. Because there is some department, maybe HR, admin and personnel, or maybe some logistics department, or maybe the management is responsible for providing these facilities to the drivers. Perfect. So this is an excellent example of understanding that this is a voice of the customer, typically voice of the internal customer. Fact number one. Fact number two, and I must thank and congratulate Sant that he has made this excellent example, that by improving the VOC, what is really ultimately also improving? VOB, voice of the business. Because if the people are happy, business is now again picking up, right? So if the customers are happy, can you see? If the customers are happy, that will result into better results for the business. These are related. They are not in isolation. And typically, one of the very important ways of improving the business results is improving the customer's experience. And it can be not only about external customers, but also about internal customers, just as Sant has very correctly pointed out. I want everyone to once again clap for him before we go for a short break. Thank you very much. Excellent interaction. So we'll meet, my dear friends, exactly at 8:45. Right? Is that okay?
Yes, okay, sir.
Okay. And
Yes,
then
okay.
before we really part, show me a thumbs up too if you are happy. Extremely happy too. Less happy one. Dissatisfied. Highly dissatisfied. What I am doing? I am capturing what? Voice of customer in a reactive approach or in a proactive approach? Proactive approach. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll meet at 8:45. We'll meet at 8:45.